Here is a sight that is too common. A Jetta with the hood popped. What could be wrong? Well, let me tell you, and we're gonna get into it. So our trusty 212,000 mile Jetta 1.8 turbo with the 5-speed automatic transmission, that's right, the Tiptronic that has a 100% failure rate, has left us stranded. And it is most likely because of one of these, a starter. So right now, we've already checked the battery, and actually just to bring you up to speed on what we've done recently on the car, it's got a brand new battery. Yeah, March 26, so 2 months old. We have also replaced the alternator wire. This is one of the Litke ones, so upgraded alternator wire going over to the alternator. Tested the alternator. Alternator is good. We got all the juice in the world, but when I turn the key, it just clicks and nothing is happening. So there are two possibilities. One, the timing belt might have broken and the motor is seized. I'm hoping that's not the case, but we are going to pop the cover and look at the timing belt just to be sure. Assuming that that is not the case, though, because she was driving beautifully until I stopped for lunch, and then after lunch, click, no start. So I'm thinking that it is the original 200,000 mile starter that gave up the ghost. Fortunately, I have another starter, and I took this by Discount Electric and Battery today, and they tested it, and they said that this is 100% good to go. So today, we are going to show you how to change the starter on a 1.8 turbo that has the 5-speed automatic. Fortunately, it is not a crazy amount of work because the starter is right on top. We just got to move the battery out of the way and the airbox. And of course, part and parcel with that, moving the airbox, I'm going to take off this battery cover just to have this stuff kind of out of the way and give us access down there. Now, you might see some things in here that you wouldn't see on a normal 1.8 turbo, like this reservoir that I have here. This is a transmission reservoir, overflow reservoir that we put in because the original overflow system on this just didn't really have a lot of wiggle room in it in case you overfilled and it would spurt out everywhere, and yeah, anyway, it was an issue. So I added this. And then this right here, which you also wouldn't see on a regular one, is the fill pipe, which I extended from the fill pipe down there. So if I needed to monkey with the fluid, I can do it without having to dive crazy down in there. It's right here. But what we are going to do, we're going to remove the battery. So a couple of 10mm bolts. We'll undo the negative first, then the positive. Lift the battery out of place. There is a 13mm bolt right down in there that also needs to come out. So we're going to remove this panel to give us quick access to that 13mm bolt that holds the battery in. Then the battery comes out. Then there are more 10mm bolts we need to remove. Let's do it step by step though. So first of all, let's unhook the battery. And the battery tray should slide out with a little bit of finagling. Here we go. Yep, as I suspected, I'm going to need to remove the airbox, or at least move it out of the way in order to get all the access that I'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and unbolt this. And your mileage may vary. You might also have a 10mm holding it down here to the battery box. I do not have that anymore. On the battery tray, this back corner right here would be where that other 10mm would bolt into. So with that out of the way, I should be able to push the battery box this way. I'm sorry, the airbox. And then that will release it from the snorkel that is under here. Now, normally you would probably want to unhook your secondary air injection hose, but mine is kind of siliconed in place because this is old and the clamps don't work. So all I'm going to do is flip it out of the way. Now I have lots of room to get to the starter, which is right here. So there's a couple of bolts that we're going to have to get to remove the starter. One of them is right there. We are going to need to move the shifter out of the way because it runs through the top of the starter. So we're going to unbolt that. I'm going to go ahead and unhook this connection here. This is going to be another bolt that's going to come off. See, this is a protection because this is a positive current. We don't want that touching anything negative that'll ground out and cause issues. So I'm going to remove this. So we'll unbolt that cable. And there's one more bolt that is back inside there. It is not super easy to get to. So that might involve an actual box wrench to get to rather than a swivel. But we'll do our best with that one. So let's unbolt this 10mm first. That is the shifter mechanism. Get that out of the way. I don't remember if the bolt will fall out the bottom after I unbolt it or not. I don't remember if it's captive, so I'm going to just stick my finger under there. Nope, it is just a bolt from the top. So unbolt that, and we will have the ability to remove that shifter. It's actually got a clip in it as well. So after we unbolt the shifter and we move it out a little bit, we'll be able to unclip that. Let's see. Getting creative. I'm going to get torque on it. Lift that shifter cable up and out of the way. Might need a little persuasion. Aha! All right, got that cracked loose, and now I should be able to get it with a regular socket. There we are. Okay, finally. Slide that out of its yoke, and here is our starter. Just got to wiggle it a little bit. There we are. Start her out. I'm going to clean this up before we put in our other. Use some super clean.
20 minutes later.
Okay, so here's where we're at. We tightened down the bolts that were loose here. There was a transmission bolt that was loose. That was not good, so that's taken care of. The new starter is laid in place, and I do have the shifter mechanism threaded. And now I'm going to add the bolt that holds the starter in place there, then that bolt that goes there. Then I will reattach the wiring to it. I have cleaned it up a little bit with some deoxit and a steel brush, so it's a little bit better contact. And I also hit the contact ends of the starter with some deoxit as well, just to make sure that those have a really good connection. And yeah, then it's just reassembly. So starter, put the battery tray back in place. I'm sorry, no. Airbox back in place first, boom. Then the battery tray, and then the battery, and then we should be good to go here. So, reassembling. So next, we want to replace the clip that holds the shifter linkage in place, and that is going to go right there. That is where that wants to live. So it just clips in place. So don't know if I can do it one-handed, but we'll give it a try. Yeah, no, this is probably going to be a two-handed effort to get this correctly in place. Yep, two hands. So I'm going to put this down, but it just slips straight down into the little place it snaps in. Now this is going to bolt back on here, so I want to make sure that this will snap in nicely with our orientation before I snug this down all the way. Okay. Electrical is snapped in. Here we have our activator also snapped in. This is so the edge of this has come loose, so that's good time fun. So we're going to want to secure that with some electrical tape.
5 minutes later.
All right, put my airbox back, starting to bolt stuff back into position. We will know here pretty shortly if the battery, well, I'm sorry, if the starter replacement cures our issue here. Time for our moment of truth here. Let's see if she starts. Yes! Great success! Okay. Whew, so glad it was just the starter, not anything else, because she's got 212,000 miles and anything is possible. So if you happen to have a 1.8 turbo Jetta or Golf or GTI with the 5-speed automatic Tiptronic transmission and your starter goes bad, hopefully that helped you to see you can do it with just regular hand tools. Granted, it's a bunch of tools, but really, I mean, the main thing is extensions, some universal joints would be helpful. You're gonna need 16 millimeter, 13 millimeter, 10 millimeter in order to accomplish this. So those socket sizes and you're good to go. If you happen to be in the San Diego area, by the way, and your starter goes bad or your alternator, before you run off and buy a new one at AutoZone or FCP Euro or anywhere, I want you to know there is a local resource where you can get your starter or your alternator rebuilt locally. Support local businesses. I've been using Discount Battery and Electric for 30 years and they're amazing, and they've passed down the business generationally. The knowledge is getting passed down. The folks that are currently in charge of it are awesome. I will leave the contact info in my description, because even though I did not have to have a starter rebuilt today, I took my spare starter, which was off of the extra transmission I have, I took it over to them to have them check it out, just to make sure that it was going to be 100% before I threw it in the car. So they took it apart, they checked all the diodes, they checked the windings, checked the brushes, checked condition, greased it up for me, and sent me on my way at a very reasonable cost. And although I'm not going to quote costs, because I know sometimes costs go up, but you can figure on about 70, 80 bucks for a starter rebuild or an alternator rebuild, which is way better than spending 350 bucks for a brand new one. So, word to the wise, it's a great resource. I highly encourage you to utilize it, and they service all kinds of vehicles. So everything from Fords, Chevys, Toyotas, Hondas, Volkswagens, Audis, Fiats, you name it, they'll take care of you. So, I hope that helped you out as well. If you wouldn't mind hitting like and maybe even subscribing before you move along, it helps me out. I'm a one-man show. I'm just trying to show you how to fix stuff at home using regular tools. I'm a regular guy. I am not a full-time YouTuber. I have multiple jobs that I work in order to support my terrible habit here. So, yay, she's back on the road. Let me know what project you are working on in the comments, and I will see you next time. God bless. Bye-bye.
And on that terrible disappointment, it's time to say goodbye. We'll be back.